Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Chamberlain, and to all the members of the E-12 committee. Yes, we need to improve reading scores in Minnesota. As I have stated a few times previously, we support increased funding for literacy training, and so does Governor Walz. And in addition, there are several more programs that we could be doing to address literacy. We will talk more about some specific things that we could do. Again, we support the appropriation. Please understand that. And we need to improve. However, there are several additional challenges that are being faced by Minnesota students, parents, staff, and to put $30.7 million into education when we have a $9.25 billion surplus is embarrassing. It's shameful. We will talk more about another crisis, mental health, the challenges that students, parents, and staff have told us about pre-COVID, and it's only gotten worse. We need to invest additional resources in this area. If a student is suffering anxiety, how is that going to help if we don't address for reading proficiency if underlying conditions with their mental health is not addressed? We have heard from school districts, from parents and students about the need to put additional resources for the formula, which is approximately 60% of what a school district relies on for its funding from the state. And this all roots back to Article 13, Section 1 of our Constitution in terms of the duty to provide resources. We are underfunding schools. There is $0 for the formula. Okay, you might say, well, there was a 2.45% in the formula last time, plus an additional 2%. That does not meet inflation. We'll have more discussion on that as we dive deeper into what is missing. Did you know that school districts are making cuts right now? Teachers and other support staff, they're getting the notice for layoffs. How is that going to help address reading proficiency? It's not. The problem in not funding special education. There should be full funding for special education. 145,000 students are in these plans, and they have that federal right that's guaranteed, and we have that obligation to help. Federal government hasn't stepped up to what they should, but we have the resources, and special education deserves much better. There shouldn't be a cross-subsidy that causes an additional $800 million to provide those funds by the local districts. Imagine how much more could be done by districts if they had those resources, addressing reading proficiency and many other of the needs of districts. The formula, the special ed subsidy, the English language learners. We certainly know of the need for providing programs for the learners. And I'll point out some of those future learners may be coming from Ukraine. It might be an Anastasia or an Ivan whose dad is left. Maybe mom makes it over. We have English language training programs. We have adult basic education programs to provide additional hope and opportunity for them. And that's why we have English language learner. That's why we have adult basic education to help people to accomplish that dream. But $0 is there. Teachers are leaving the profession in record number. And ironically, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. It should be every day. What are we doing to help the teachers? We're not keeping pace with inflation. Are we listening to why they're leaving? Could it have something to do with a lack of respect on the part of policymakers, a lack of resources? I think so. But talk to them. They're asking for additional resources for our schools. There is zero in your proposed Omnibus bill. And as I said, and this will be the third time, we support that additional training for teachers. It can take a few years as we get the results on that and measure, but we support that. But right now, we have a crisis in teachers and other staff leaving. We can, we must, we should do so much more. And for teachers, the need that we had bipartisan support last time to heavily recruit, train teachers of color, with 33% or so of the students in Minnesota being students of color, and eventually that will be the majority. But about 5% of teachers being Caucasian, or excuse me, being of color, it does not help learning opportunities with that match. Students can learn to read better, can achieve more if they can relate to someone with some cultural background that they have. That is scientifically based. There's other areas that we'll also address: the importance of early childhood education opportunities. There is documented proof that you have an early start and have a high quality program, early detection of issues that can be addressed. And that can be dyslexia. And Senator Chamberlain, I thank you for your work, your leadership on that issue. But early detection involvement can help put together a plan so that students are ready for K. Ready for K. Is that important? If a student is ready for K, they are more likely to be reading proficient. By the way, Ready for K is one of the metrics in World's Best Workforce that this bill would suspend for 6 years. Ready for K is important, and we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into programs, whether it's in the north side of Minneapolis, the opportunity. We've heard from Sandra Samuels and so many of the other programs around the state, which we'll talk more about. This provides hope and opportunity and helps students as well. There are other metrics that we have in the World's Best Workforce. Ultimately leads to graduation. Shouldn't we be collecting data regarding the graduation? And if they aren't at 100%, actually some do. I remember one time Senator Nelson and I read all the districts that have 100% graduation. We celebrate that. But the reporting and some of the challenges that districts have in not attaining a high graduation rate, that's included in World's Best Workforce. We're suspending that. We shouldn't. Okay, if you think that this is Senate DFL, this is the Minnesota Business Partnership. The Minnesota Business Partnership asked for these metrics. I happen to have been the Senate chief author in the conference committee, Paul Marquardt, representative in the House when we put this. But the Minnesota Business Partnership was a key part in putting together these accountability metrics, including reading. Have we achieved goal yet? No, we haven't. And it's going to be a journey. But suspending reporting requirements? No. That's not a good response. The business partnership pointed that out in committee, rather politely, but I can't imagine that ultimately we would suspend reporting requirements on these important metrics. They all tie in. By the way, college career prep data is in there as well. We invest $21 billion, 40% of our state budget, and we should. It's our future workforce, but we should get this. There's 5 basic areas. It's not just reading. It's important, very important. And we're going to share a number of additional programs that we can do, but we can multitask in terms of the reporting that's done. It's just not another report. And by the way, for those of you that have looked at your district World's Best Workforce Report, check it out. Talk to your teachers and staff about that. Also, there is a public meeting with parents that's required in developing that. Parents matter. We've heard so much about the need to address mental health, and it just saddens me that we are not meeting the moment to do that. We may hear that, oh yes, in finance, I believe there might be $2.4 million in a separate bill. $2.4 million? Average, that's $2 and change per student? That's the remedy? Or maybe you would argue that the federal funds, that'll take care of it. No, it won't. That's a Band-Aid. Listen to what parents and students, what your school board are saying. They need this help. We will hear from members further now in our caucus discussing these needs. As I've pointed out, none of our bills were heard. Senator Swedinsky did have one, but I had a number of bills on these subjects. They weren't heard. Senator Kunish, 25 years an educator, hasn't had a bill heard in the Minnesota Senate Education Committee since he was elected. Is that fair? So this is where we have to bring up our ideas. And our ideas are what we're hearing from students, parents, staff, local elected officials as well. So we have challenges before us. We support the additional funds for literacy training. That's important. But we need, we can, we must do much more. The resources are here and likely not change any minds here today, but this will be brought clearly to the public further as we discuss the needs, the future of public education. And this is our opportunity to express that. Thank you, Mr. President.